It's Cheer.
And this is Loathing.
We're here to talk to you about movies.
She loves everything. I hate everything.
This should be fun.
This is a morbidly beautiful podcast.
The Shane Kill Butcher's right tonight. You better
Jesus fucking Christ, we're alive.
Well, that's one way to start the show.
Yes. I mean, go big or go home, right? Yeah, hi.
Yeah. Hey, stranger, it's been a while, yeah.
Been a minute. Yeah, just about 30 to 40 seconds since we last spoke, I guess. And the wonderful people out there have, they may have missed us. I don't know. I really don't understand how public works.
Yeah.
But we're back.
Yeah, we took a little hiatus just for like end of the year, holiday craziness, like coming back and getting caught up. So took a little breather, but we'll get back on track now and start churning them out more regularly. Thank you for your patience. For those of you who realized that we were gone, if anyone. If anyone,
yeah. Based on the reviews and the analytics, nobody really noticed, but
yikes. Well, listen. if it matters, and I'm setting myself up for rejection and heartbreak right now, but I did miss you. I missed recording with you.
On to today's episode.
Yep. Just the response I was expecting from you. Thank you for not disappointing me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we decided to go for a theme that is completely unrelated to coming back. I mean, we should have really done like a resurrection theme, to be honest, this week, but whatever. Whatever. I don't come up with these things. It's your ideas, and I just go along with them. So when they're terrible, you know who to blame.
Right. But luckily, this one is not terrible, and people will be excited, I think. So we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, and the reason that we are doing that is because, and this episode is a little bit delayed. We meant to do it a couple weeks ago, but life happened. But Megan just came out, and it was in theaters, and then it came out in theaters, and then it literally just landed on VOD, so people can stream it if they.
Yeah, it's funny because I was planning on going to theaters to go see this because you're like, let's talk about Megan, and then the day I was about to go, I just happened to pop on like Amazon Prime or whatever, and it was available to rent. I was like, haha, I don't have to leave my house today. Fuck you, world.
Well, I'm upset with you because, one, I told you that you needed to see it in theaters, and two, that means that you waited quite a long time after I told you to go see it because it was not on demand when I told you to go see it.
Excuse me, miss. Oh, I still have to watch that movie last night at like 10 o'clock.
Do you not watch our movies like the day of every time? You tell me that you do.
Well, so this time I haven't. This time it's been like weeks since I've seen these movies, so.
All right. Well, so in honor of Megan, and because it was getting so much hype and it was kind of a big deal, it was really the first big horror movie of the year, we're like, let's talk about Megan. That'll be fun. And then, because I genuinely, my ulterior motive is I really want to hear what Casey thinks of Megan, because it could really go either way. And so we decided, okay, let's pick another film that is similar in style that maybe people haven't seen that we can talk about. So we also picked The Alpha Test, which is from 2020. Yeah, so I know we were like, which one do we start with? I feel like, and I want your opinion on this, Casey, but I feel like we should start with, I don't know, I'm really torn because there's so much to say about this one, but should we start with Alpha Test since it's the older one? And then get into Megan?
I have no preference on what we start with.
All right. So I say, and I honestly, I don't think we need to like cue this up much or give much background on this film. It really, it's, okay, so let me just say, so it's The Alpha Test. It is free to stream pretty much everywhere, so it's really easy to get a hold of, at least in the U.S. Casey, did you have any trouble in Canada?
No, it was on Tubi here. I think it was Tubi anyway.
Tubi here too. So it's from 2020. It's super low budget, and we'll get into it, but it's one of those low budget films that feels like a low budget film. Super indie. I think it flew way under the radar. I don't know that it got much hype or marketing or anything around it. But in doing some research, it had a lot of the ways that it was being described in the marketing felt very similar to Megan in a lot of ways. So it's like, oh, this will be an interesting film to kind of contrast with that. So first time watch for me, you too, Casey, right? I'm assuming.
yeah, of course.
Okay. First of all, as I've told you before, whenever we take a long break like this, I forget how to do any of this. I don't even I feel like I've never podcasted before in my life, so I have no idea.
Okay, let me.
How to get
the
into
consummate
it.
professional over here. We usually start off with Rotten Tomatoes ratings and consensus reviews, but surprise, this has 0 reviews and fewer than 50 ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. That's the sign of quality filmmaking right there.
I don't even think it has I couldn't find a Wikipedia page or anything.
There is nothing on this movie besides I think it might have an IMDb page. You know what? It might have an IMDb page.
It does have an IMDb page.
Let's see. You're gonna hear my clickety clacks.
Clicky.
Yeah. Okay. So it has a 3.5 rating with 611 votes on IMDb. So take that for what you will. I know you don't like IMDb because you think just any old pleb can go leave a review, not these sophisticated critics that only can review on Rotten Tomatoes or the Wall Street Journal, the New Yorker, or whatever these big fancy, only professional snobs are allowed to critique movies. So the average pleb is not allowed to review movies. So that's why they go to IMDb, where these uneducated swine can leave their reviews. Those are Stephanie's
100%.
exact words. We've had this conversation.
Exact words.
Yeah.
I stand by every word you just said. Just absolutely brilliant encapsulation of my thoughts.
So alpha test. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I will say, so I watched it. Usually I am the one who's very prepared, as far as when it comes to watching films and taking notes and doing all that. Because you're more of you like to fly by the seat of your pants and have it be more organic and off the cuff.
Generally,
And
I do have notes for this, so.
I like to be very documented. In this case, I'm pulling a full on Casey. Very unprepared. I watched it.
It's a new season. I'm the new Cheer.
Oh God, no! We'll see about that. I don't know if you're the new Cheer with Alpha Test. So I watched it late last night. And I took 0 notes. And the whole time I'm watching it, first of all, I can't get you out of my head when I'm watching these movies because I'm like, oh God,
you're welcome.
What is Casey? What kind of experience was Casey having when he watched this movie? Because if a film is rough for me, then I know that it is good times for Casey for sure. And I was wondering how much you were cursing me and just being like that bitch. And this is why I'm so happy we weren't podcasting for a while and all of that good stuff. So let's just get this out of the way first before we dive in. This is an objectively, I think I can say that in all fairness, an objectively terrible film, right? We agree on that? This is not good.
Tell me more. Tell me more. I want to hear this.
It's not good, really, in any way, except for, let me say this. This is where it's difficult because I don't want to talk too much about Megan. I think the concept is interesting in this. I think it's a cool idea. I think it almost feels like, and I want to get your thoughts kind of later in the show, but let me just cue this up. Almost feels like the people who made Megan watched this film and said, that's interesting. Let's make a film that does that, but actually good. And because this is one of those films that you watch it and you're like, God, there's so much potential there. There's so much what this could have been. But they just didn't have the budget. They didn't have the expertise, whatever it was, to really make this a film. But it's really interesting. And I also want to say this too. As much as I think that this is not a great film, it's kind of fun. I had fun with it, and maybe I was just delirious, and maybe it was late at night and whatever. But I was like, okay, this is kind of so batshit crazy that I was sort of into it. And I know, Casey, you hate that. You hate that so bad it's a good thing. And you got really mad at me when I talked about things like Party Bus and shit like that. That I'm like, okay, yeah, it's bad, but kind of fun. I had a good time, and I kind of was giggling the whole time. So I don't know, is that a good film or a bad film? Yeah, this film is bonkers, and in a way, I find it kind of charmingly bonkers. Like, I kind of love it. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh God, let me defend the many wonderful merits of this amazing film. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna try to intellectualize this at all. But it's kind of charming in its like insanity, at least in my opinion. I'm gonna have a strong feeling you're gonna disagree with that. But any of this resonating or any way?
You know what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't get to say this often.
Oy.
Because we don't, do these podcasts as often anymore. But I fucking hate you, man. I'm kidding. So I had kind of a roller coaster with this movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, it started off with one of the worst cold openings I've ever seen in a movie ever. It was like laughably bad. Like, I literally laughed out loud. And over the past, I don't know, a few months anyway, I would say I've grown to appreciate independent filmmaking a little bit more than usual. Because, like, I used to shit on these movies real bad, these indie movies like Party Bus from Hell, which I still think is a fucking terrible movie. But I've been in the scene a little bit more. I've been helping out on some projects with a friend and been cast in a couple little indie things too over the past few months. So it's hard to judge these things too harshly at times because I know what it's going through. It's a lot of passion projects and they're trying to work within restraints and all that. And it's trying to keep that in mind while watching these movies. But you watch something like The Alpha Test, and then you can watch another independent movie that is like Oscar worthy. There are a lot of them out there that have little teeny tiny budgets. Like you look at Paranormal Activity, for example. They knew what their budget was. They worked within the restraints, and they made a very, very compelling movie, which turned into a very, very shitty franchise. But beside the point.
Skidamareek.
So I'm going to touch on that in a minute, actually.
Okay, good. I was curious about your thoughts.
So one of the first things I look for in independent movies is, are they working within their means? You can anybody can write the most epic, brilliant, dramatic, science fiction, special effects filled movie in their head and put it down on paper, but doing it realistically 9 times out of 10 is not possible. You have to work within your restraints. Mm-hmm. And that has definitely been instilled in me a little bit more since working on some of these projects. And yeah, one of the people I've been working with is like, absolutely, I have tons of ideas, but I have to work within what I have. I don't have any money to make a fucking Avatar and watch a whale swim around in the water for 400 hours while there's nothing going on. I don't have that luxury. So I have to work. I have a house. I have a camera. I have a microphone. I have some friends. I have some semi-professional actors, and I have professional actor friends. What can I do with that? And then they make something based on that, right?
Sure.
This movie did not do that.
Yeah. I was like, where are you going with this?
They went, I have this idea, and if I had $100 million budget, it could be an Oscar-winning movie in some aspect. It might be special effects or costume, whatever. It may not be the best movie in the world, but at least, it's going to be good. They're like, we have $50 to make a mask mold that is going to look okay from the front, but as soon as you look at any details, it's going to be fucking terrible. And that's basically what it was. They blew their entire budget on whatever this robot was supposed to be, and it didn't even look that great. And that's what I mean by...
Can I interrupt you real fast?
Yes, go for it.
Because I definitely wanted to talk about the look of this robot.
Right, yes.
Because on one hand, I was like, okay, this is not good. On the other hand, I was like, because it was so sort of... I think it was unintentional, but because it was so sort of like fucked up a little bit, it kind of was creepy. Like, it creeped me the fuck out every time I looked at this robot, I was like, I'm genuinely unnerved by this. So on one hand, I'm like, is this effective? But I think it was an accidental unnervingness.
I don't know. I think maybe it was accidental, and then they kind of leaned into it because, like, okay, this thing looks like fucking Jeff the Killer copy pasta or creepy pasta.
I was taking a drink when you said that, and I almost did a spit take.
Good, excellent. Ruin the microphone, spit right in it.
I was like, oops.
Yeah. So I mean, first and foremost, yeah, it's creepy and it works for a movie, but it immediately takes you out of it because if this were any sort of reality, no way in the fucking world would that thing be released into the public.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
right,
you're like, oh, this would be cool as hell, but I mean, who the fuck would want this thing in their house?
And people are like excited for it, like, oh my god, you got me an alpha. This thing's amazing. Meanwhile, it has the death glare at all times. Nobody would. So yeah, the front of the mask, if you're looking at it head on, looks fine. But then it's supposed to have like pistons in the neck and like a fan on the side, but it's clearly just rubber. Everything is just rubber, right? And then they're like, okay, so we spent all the money on the mask. What do we do with the body? Black jumpsuit and normal human hands.
Yeah, it is. You guys, I'm like, please just, if you're not going to watch this movie.
Just look at a picture of the stupid robot.
That's fine. Yeah, just look up some images because it is... I don't know. It's kind of, and I thought, sometimes you watch something at first when you see it, you're like, ooh, this is jarring and I don't like it. But then as you watch it, you just get used to it and you're like, okay, this is fine. Your brain just sort of gets into it.
Takes it. Yeah.
Never once did my brain get into it. Every time I saw this robot, I had that same visceral reaction of like, this thing is like fucking, because, it's very similar to like other AI movies you've seen. You're sort of supposed to, it gets humanized. You're supposed to get into that world of like, all right, it has a personality, it has feelings, it has thoughts, all that stuff. And so then you're supposed to feel some sort of connection or empathy. But it's insanely impossible with this movie because it's just so, and her voice and everything is so, it's just, everything's odd. And I don't know if it's like intentionally odd or just bad filmmaking odd because it like I said, it is unnerving and it is a horror movie, so kudos I guess on that, but I wouldn't know if it's intentional or not because it just feels really fucking weird the whole time.
I mean, it's definitely not a so bad as good attempt at a movie. Like, they really wanted this to be good. You can tell just by what the effort and stuff put in. And like I said, the beginning of it, I was like, oh my god, this is fine. Like, I started watching in the living room with my wife there, and I'm like, okay, no, I got to go to the bedroom and put this on the computer because I can't put somebody through this movie. Like, and then as I'm sitting at the computer watching it, I wouldn't say I got into it, but I didn't hate it. Like, the hate didn't build, right? Like, it kind of peaked at the intro and then it kind of mellowed, and I was like, okay, if I'm, suspending my disbelief and taking my judgment level down a couple of levels, I can see what they're trying to do, and I can see the effort and the passion that they put into it. The acting was atrocious, except I didn't mind the girl, like the daughter. She was okay. I didn't like, she was fine. Everybody else seemed very like over the top and fake feeling, but she seemed somewhat genuine. She was okay. And then it got to like the final act, and I was like, okay, it's over. And then it didn't fucking end. And I'm like, oh great, we're gonna do a Lord of the Rings with 15 different endings. That should have ended about an hour ago, but it's gonna keep going. And that sort of ruined it again for me, which was kind of like a roller coaster. It kind of peaked with like this is going to be fucking terrible. And then it mellowed, and then it went, oh, we're going to be fucking terrible again. So I think that's where the filmmaking and storytelling aspect of, I don't know when to end this. I have so many ideas and I want to put them all in here. They could have kept it as a very personal, this one robot fucked up the family. Fine, end it, done, right there, right? But they preface it at the beginning that this seems to be like an epidemic or some sort of pandemic thing with it where it's catching on and it's being transmitted and killing everybody who owns one of these things, or whatever the case might be. So they had to like finish that out. So I just didn't feel like it was cohesive storytelling.
Right.
And the fact that it,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say the fact that it like landed on a streaming site like Shudder. How do you get something on Shudder? Can I just submit like anything to Shudder and get it on there?
Well, because I think here's the thing. I have a couple things to say. I want to respond to that question because I think at the time when this came out, I think the concept is strong enough. Like it's pretty like right now if that came out, you'd be like, okay, super derivative. But at the time, like I think it was kind of innovative and cool. And I think
I don't know. I mean, AI stuff has been around for a long time.
I know, but like I guess just the sort of the way that they did it. I don't know. Like it's one of those things. Like it's badly executed for sure, but it's interesting enough that it's got merits outside of its execution, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does, but it's sort of interesting to watch just because there's good ideas there. You know what I mean? Like, and I 100% agree with your assessment of like, it starts off real rough to the point where I was like, ooh, I'm going to be in trouble. Like on this podcast, Casey's going to rip me a new one for picking this film because I thought it was just going to be.
Yeah, well, I thought you had seen it.
No.
Already.
Because remember, I try to pick something I haven't seen.
Okay. Well, I thought that was...
No, I haven't.
Okay. I thought it didn't really... I thought sometimes... Anyway, I have no idea what's going on with this podcast. So.
I don't know. Who knows? We keep changing our minds. But anyway, no, I haven't seen it. It was just one of those ones like, well, this is curious. Yeah, I thought I was in real trouble. And then it did sort of get... once the killings happened and that kind of stuff, and it sort of like leaned into what it was trying to be. I was like, all right, this is silly and it's not that well executed, but I'm having kind of a good time with it. And yeah, the ending goes off the rails. But I was going to say, I think the worst, because I kind of like the ending, honestly. The ending of, spoiler alert, like who cares with this film, but the ending where it is like, because at first it's really just like the main robot, and then at the end it's like a robot uprising, and it's a whole bunch of robots that look exactly like her, and they're taking over the world. That would actually be kind of interesting and cool had they not. The beginning is so stupid, and I don't know why they did it, because they basically start the movie with this robot on a murderous rampage, and then they go into the proper story, which is this family bringing home this robot for the first time, and this brand new AI that's been released, and they get like one of the sons is a programmer, and he gets like early access or whatever.
He wins it or something. Yeah.
So yeah, for being like the best programmer or some stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
But the ending is so unnecessary, and it's stupid because it takes, like, this film doesn't have tension, let's be real, but it takes away any potential tension or surprise of like the developing story of this robot. Starts off very like, okay, so basically the robot, they bring this robot in, the robot's very like obedient and wants to be, has this kind of weird thing where it wants to be loved, and it wants to be appreciated, and it wants friendship and that kind of thing. But it gets brought into this family that is just like the worst possible fucking family on the planet, which is one of the things I didn't write it down, but I made a note in my head. I was like, it's hilarious how much of a visceral reaction this family has to this robot coming in, especially the mom. She is just like, and for really no reason at all, this robot comes in and she is just like, you fucking piece of shit. Like she's so angry before the robot has done anything. And
yeah, I think it's supposed to be like old people are afraid of technology.
I guess, but it was insane. And then she has like a maid who is even worse than the mom.
They're just like the worst actor I've ever fucking seen.
Like the women outside of the girl, because the little girl's like the hero and she like befriends the robot. But the older women are, it's like, I'm like, does this filmmaker hate women? Because they are monsters. Although the men aren't much better, but yeah, it's really rough. Like they're just like insanely awful to this robot, and obviously that's what that's the story. That's what pushes this robot over the edge and makes the robot start killing. So that by the time the robot starts killing, you're totally on board. You're like, yeah, kill these motherfuckers. They're the worst people ever. You feel no sympathy, nothing. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, it's insane. Like, because the whole time I'm watching it, going like, why are you having? Like, it's one thing to be like, I don't get this, or this is weird, but like, just the amount of anger, like this robot stole her husband, kind of vitriol anger, and the maid was like, the robot tried to help clean, and the maid like lost her shit.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "You will not replace me," and it's the craziest, but also it's kind of comical and I guess entertaining. It's just nuts, like their reaction to this whole situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, have you ever heard of a game called Detroit Becoming Human?
No.
So it's basically this movie. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's done much better because the guy who created the game I fucking hate him. He's like the worst. You would love him because he's like, all his games are like pretentious, has to have some sort of meaning, and you don't actually play the game. It's just like a bunch of story quick time events. It's like your guy's running, hit X before the fucking thing hits you in the face, sort of thing. You don't actually do much. It's just interactive storytelling more than anything. You may have ever heard of the game Heavy Rain or Two Souls or something like that is another one he did.
Yes.
So his name's David Cage, or David Cage, I think he likes to say it. But
he just says it. He just makes it up. He's like,
well, he's
doesn't make sense.
French.
I'm not. Okay, well, see, then that's okay.
So,
you made it sound like he's pretentious, so his name's Cage, but he just says Cage.
Well, but there's no like accent aigu on the end of the E, so it shouldn't be Cage. It should just be Cage. Anyway, whatever. So he made this game. This was 2016-ish, and it's basically this robots or AI and cyborgs, androids, whatever you want to call them, are integrated into society. They do the menial jobs. They're servants. They're butlers. They're taxi drivers. They're bus drivers. They're basically shit that people don't want to do anymore, right? And the whole thing of the game is that it's basically like slavery 2.0. They ended up like getting a sentience to them, and they start thinking for themselves, and there's a robot uprising, and then they try to take over, but then some of them do and some of them don't. Depends on if you can like infect the virus or the sentience into the new anyway. It's basically what this movie is trying to do, and I feel like they played that game like we can do this into movie form, and they can't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know if this was the best film choice for our grand return, because we're not gonna fight about it very much.
No.
it's obviously not great, but I don't know, like I wasn't angry while I was watching it, and I wasn't bored. I was sort of like,
yeah, that's fair.
I'm kind of having fun. So I guess like that, to me, that's like, well, the film's not a total failure if that happened. Like I didn't end it going, well, I just wasted, an hour and a half of my life and now I'm pissed off at the world. I was like, I mean, clearly they missed the mark in a lot of ways, but that was kind of fun. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not angry about it. I don't hate it. I wouldn't go around telling people they should go watch it and it's the greatest thing ever, but
well, that's a fucking change for you. Jesus.
Okay. Yikes.
Miss.
Look,
I went to a film festival and 27 of the films I watched were the best things I've ever seen, and everybody needs to see them, and they're masterpieces. And anyway,
Well, the best stuff around gets handpicked and curated for these impressive film festivals, so there's a reason. It's all great. Ugh, you should go. I just need you to go to one film festival, a good film festival once in your life, and experience it, and experience what it's like to watch these films in a theater with a bunch of people who love movies, not like all grouchy in your home, in your like on your computer while you multitask and bullshit. Like to have an immersive film experience. I just wish you would, because
I did. The last time I went to the movies was fucking Avatar, and I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there. So,
well, a regular theater doesn't really count because you're with a bunch of you're with a bunch of IMDb reviewers there. If you go to the
So okay. So I'll try to get tickets for TIFF next year.
Yes, go to TIFF. There you go.
Actually, isn't that soon? I thought that was in
Probably.
like January or not January, like March or.
Well, that's Sunday. You might be thinking of Sundance because Sundance just happened. Maybe though. We are in festival season, so.
TIFF is.
This is good radio right here.
I know, right? February 5th.
And you're not going to edit this, so people are going to hear this like.
Yeah, this
weird
the
hole.
gears fucking turning. I don't know when TIFF is. I can't find any dates. So
well,
anyway.
research. We'll get you some press passes, and then you'll go to TIFF.
Oh, if you could get me press passes, I would fucking go in a heartbeat.
You'd have to review films, though.
That's fine.
Let's do it. All right.
That's fine.
It'll change your life.
Will it? Hey, maybe I'll be a guest
because
it's
you, but
one of the movies that I was in, the guy's like, it's going festival circuit, like it's going hard.
Oh shit!
So,
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you need to go to, but you got to tell me which fest you're going to go to because I need you to go to the right ones. Some of them are.
The only one I'm
all
going to go to
festivals
is
are great,
TIFF. Like, I can't go to any, what other ones in Canada are there that are within distance?
Isn't there? There's like a horror one that's like snow on the blood on the snow or something.
Oh yeah, I don't know where that. I think that's in. Is that Niagara? That's in. I don't know.
I haven't been to, but I've heard it's good for genre stuff. I mean, it's like one of the like indie lower budget.
I know the
ones,
one you're talking
and I don't
about.
mean that shitty, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it is. I mean, probably a lot of them are in Hamilton or Niagara region, Toronto. They don't really do Toronto ones because Toronto's fucking expensive to host shit. So TIFF is there. There might be one in Montreal. There's probably one in Vancouver. But like these are like 8 to 10 hour drives for me to get to one, and then like or a 7-day drive to get to the other side of the country. So.
Do you not fly? Is that like not an okay?
Well,
thing?
no, I can't afford to fly. It's like $1,000 to get from one end of the country to the other.
Really? Shit.
Well, gas is expensive, man.
All right. Well,
I might be able to pull Toronto. Toronto's like an hour. I can do that.
Okay, we're gonna solve this problem offline. You and I, we're gonna put our heads together because the audience is probably like, "What the actual fuck is happening right now?"
What's going on here? Okay, so let's talk about movies. The next one is Megan. Or M3 Gan.
Yes, that is how you pronounce it. I'm sure.
Yes.
So, it's been a hot minute since I've seen this one because obviously, as you know me, I saw it the second it opened in theaters. I rushed out and watched it with my giddy little happy feet.
That was what, like mid-January?
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
I've aged 20 years in that time frame. But yes, so I did not rewatch it. I wanted to rewatch it, but I just didn't get around to it. It's pretty fresh in my memory, but I did see it right when it came out. And then, as you know, like I was like, we got to talk about Megan because I could not wait to talk about this with you. And I haven't talked to you. I've like refrained from asking you what you thought after you said you were going to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been killing me, and I've been super excited. Because it's you. So this could absolutely go any way. I have no idea if you liked it or you hated it or where you stand on it. I think you probably can guess how I felt about it. If you had to guess. But yes, I think this needs to be the Casey show right now because I am really curious to hear your thoughts on this one.
Well, let's go over the Rotten Tomatoes information first. Okay, so this one, it kind of surprises me a little bit. 94 on the critic aspect and 78 on the audience. The audience doesn't surprise me as much as the critic, because this doesn't seem like a critic-friendly movie. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you love it, but you love everything. Like, you could film, like, flies slowly devouring dog shit for 2 hours and be like, fucking art. I love it. You want to get that?
No, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. It's.
You said you were going to turn your phone off beforehand. Oh.
I did turn my phone off. It was Messenger that popped up, and I never get those.
I don't know why I could hear that then, but
I don't know why. It's on my computer. Anyway.
Yeah, no. But anyway, it's a different sound input. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
This show is on fire today.
It is. So I forget what I was fucking saying.
So
thanks,
critics,
Obama.
You're like So critics like this, and that seems really weird because it doesn't seem very critic friendly. I mean,
Yeah.
you like it because you like everything,
Right.
but because you're a pretentious asshole. But you know,
Yes.
most
Okay.
critics,
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Fair enough. Yes. Which, so yeah, 94 kind of really surprises me. And the critics' consensus is unapologetically silly and all the more entertaining for it. M3
Yes.
Gan is a rare horror comedy that delivers chuckles as effortlessly as chills. And the audience, there's an audience one. I've never seen the audience like consensus before. As long as you aren't looking for something truly scary or even surprising, Mark 3 Gan is often a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds like such a like douchebag review. Like, well, as long as you don't want anything good, I mean, I guess you'll be fine. But just
Right,
check
because
your
that's from the
expectations at door.
audience. So that's the
Yeah.
pleb response, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
assholes.
the damn fucking cretins out there.
Oh God, fuck
God,
them.
how are they allowed to speak?
I don't know.
Good
I don't
Lord,
know.
you should duct tape their mouth and chop their fingers off.
We just need more regulations. You know, you gotta be licensed to be able to review films.
Yeah,
and
you
the
gotta
whole
be.
process.
You gotta do is basically like go to the driver's license place and be like, I want to be a film critic. They're like, okay, you gotta watch these movies, and if you're right, maybe you'll get the credentials.
Yeah, you need to be able to like analyze and peel back the layers and talk about the metaphors and the allegories and the political undertones and all that shit. Like you gotta
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
be able to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once again, critics have my back. They know
Mhm.
what's up.
Well, they know stuff. They know how to type at least, I guess. So
That's a lot, honestly.
that's 90% of what being a critic is.
Being able to
The
put
other
sentences
10% is
together.
thinking you're better than everybody else.
Yeah, that's the fun part. I really enjoy that the most.
I know you do. I
So-
picture you doing this podcast in a throne, surrounded by pillows. Your feet are currently on somebody who once left a review on IMDb. They are your ottoman, your
I've got my
footrest.
feet on their back, and they're like, yeah.
They're in
feeding me
like
grapes
leather
and shit.
underwear, and they have a bow tie on for some fucking
Ooh.
reason.
So none of that's happening, but now how can I make this happen as quickly as possible? Because that all sounds fantastic.
You can pull a Jay and Silent Bob and like pull all the records and fly to each one of their houses,
Okay.
and then punch them in
I
the
don't know,
face and then kidnap. And
I'm a little too lazy for that. I need something that's a little lower point of entry, but I'm going to work on it. I'll take that
Okay.
offline as well and
okay,
strategize.
fair enough. So you want to know what I think about this movie, right?
I do. I so do.
I don't know how to put this. It didn't leave an impact. I'll say that.
Okay.
Horror comedies are kind of one of those things where I either love them or hate them, and I don't usually have a middle ground. This one leaves me in the middle ground. I didn't find it groundbreaking, but at the same time, like I wasn't bored. Was it incredibly stellar filmmaking worthy of a 94%? No, not really. 78 still even might be a bit high. I think this falls into the perfectly acceptable shit category and probably falls into like more of a 62 to 69 rating. In my personal opinion anyway, but I have a pleb opinion because I'm not a licensed reviewer.
Yeah, and you just want everything to have a 69 rating. I get that.
Well, who doesn't? So I don't. Yeah. Again, nothing really. Obviously, it's very well produced. The acting in it is fine, and it's been a while since I saw this one too. Like I saw it the first day it came out on streaming, so that was still 2.5 weeks ago or so. And I didn't really take notes, and I don't know why I didn't take notes because I figured we were gonna like do the fucking episode the next day, so I didn't need to do notes. But I don't know. I feel like there were some plot holes, which were glaring, and I can't remember them at the moment, which is driving me fucking bananas. Oh yeah, like okay. So the one thing that jumps out immediately in the I guess we can call it a Deus Ex Machina at the very end. Spoiler. You know, like when there's the fight scene. How did the girl get the gloves? You know what I'm talking about?
they're from that other robot.
No, I know, but those were in the room, and then she just had them. Like, she just appeared in the doorway from not inside the room where the robot was, and was like, come on, motherfucker, and put on these fucking gauntlets that control this robot, which were assumed in the room that the fight was going on in. So I just say that seems dumb, but
I see, that's the thing, is I can't remember the details like that. I remember like big picture stuff. So I feel like if I watched it, I didn't remember that jumping out at me as like, oh God, where'd these come from? I feel like that was, I don't know. I feel like they showed that, but I can't verify.
They didn't.
I can't
No,
confirm
so
or deny.
I remember that scene. So they're in the garage, or whatever that room is. I assume it's a garage. And Allison Williams and this robot, or Megan, are duking it out, right? Obviously, a robot, so it's going to be stronger. So she overpowers, and then the little girl comes out. She's like, Aunt, whatever your fucking name is everything okay? What was her name?
Yeah, whatever their fucking name is.
I forget her name. What was her name? Gemma. That's
remember.
right. Gemma, is everything okay? And then Megan goes, oh yes, everything's fine. Just stay in your room. And then she closes the door. And then the next time we see her, she's just appeared in the fucking doorway with these gauntlets on. That's it. So I was just like, what the fuck? Like, everything up to this point was like, okay, they seem to cover some of their bases. I mean, it's a fucking animated or animatronic robot thing. So, I mean, how realistic can it be? But it's little things like that that take me from a movie that I'm like, okay, this is fine, to like, oh, you fucking ruined it. And did that ruin the entire experience for me? No. But did it take me down to like, maybe this could have been a 78 rating too? Now it's like drop 10% because they're just like, we don't know what to do in this moment. So let's try to just, make sure nobody notices. It's the whole Batman had a broken back and now he's fighting crime 3,000 miles away back in Gotham without any explanation. Levels of like, fly that jumbo jet through the gaping hole in the plot hole net. And that's how it felt at the time. And that's something I can't get over.
Now I'm mad that I didn't rewatch it because I don't know that was a plot hole, but I can't remember the scene. Like, I remember the scene, but I don't remember the details of it enough to be like, oh no, this happened, and so that I can defend it. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you're awfully angry about something that didn't seem like that much of a
well, it's just like
thing.
It if they showed it, they didn't like. If it's something like that, it's like, this is King Arthur pulling Excalibur out of the fucking stone. Like, all of a sudden he has it in his hand. You didn't see him pull it. You didn't see him achieve anything. You just kind of showed him, like, hey, motherfucker, let's do this.
It's crazy because, like, regardless, I'm like, who cares? Like, that really didn't. The kind of film this is, it's like, at some point, just like, give into it and have fun. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, this film is all about just having a good time. It is not about some deep philosophical.
Well, that's fine, even though it is kind of like supposed to be like a deep philosophical thing. Like, AI is going to take over and fucking.
I don't think it's that deep.
You just spoke about how the alpha test was like, this is supposed to be a deep movie. Megan, nah.
Did I say the alpha test is supposed to be a deep movie?
Well, you said like the ideas behind it were like.
Well, I mean, sure. Like, on a broad level, anything having to do with techno fear, it is grounded in reality and real horror and real like anxieties, and there are lots of questions about how we use technology and where we're headed and the dangers and all that shit. But like, that's on a sort of meta level. On a micro level, like, this film, I think, is just, I mean, there's stuff you can pull out of it for sure about, parenting and using technology to parent and all kinds of stuff. But I think at its core, it's really just like, let's make something that's campy as hell and just have a great time with it. That's what I got out of it. Like, and I think if that's what its intent was, I think it nailed it. It hit it out of the park, which is why I think the score is justified, because again, I think you should measure all films against what are they trying to do? What kind of film is this trying to be? And does it do its job as that kind of film?
I mean, I agree and disagree at the same time.
Okay.
So yes, a film should be judged against itself. It shouldn't really be drawn comparisons against other things. However, to a lay person, or if you're trying to explain a movie to somebody, and you go, "Oh, it has a 94 rating on IMDb." Oh, but or on Rotten Tomatoes, but so does like The Godfather, which is objectively like one of the best movies ever made. How can it have the same rating as Megan? Different style of movie completely, but I mean, that's what I don't like about these critical analysis and these critical ratings is like, how do you justify giving this a 94 and maybe like an Oscar-winning masterpiece, as you would put it, like an 80?
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's like, it's, again, like you have to judge the only way, because obviously there's no way to go back and like, there's no way to compare films to other films in a really like reasonable way. So the only thing you can really do is be like, all right, what kind of film is this? What is it trying to do? Like, what are its resources? Like, all that stuff. And then evaluate the merits of the film on itself. Because it's ridiculous. Okay, first of all, if you want to see a Godfather film, like, don't go see Megan. You know, like, I could say I love Megan, but I would also be like, hey, if you're looking for X kind of film, this is definitely not for you. You got to be into this genre, this style of film. If you're somebody like you're like, oh, I'm not really crazy about, and I don't know if you exactly said this, but I'll just put words in your mouth right now. If you're like, I don't really love horror comedies, they're not my thing. You know, that's totally fine and fair. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you for that opinion. I'm just saying, then there's a whole slew of films I'd be like, yeah, this isn't for you, even though I love this film. And if you told me you loved horror comedies, I'd recommend the shit out of this film.
Sure.
Maybe,
but does that justify
like,
a 94 rating?
I don't know. I mean, yes, because it's not comparing it to Godfather or anything Oscar.
No, I like I said, I get that, but if you're gonna give something a score, then you are kind of by nature comparing it. Even though like you can leave a review on a movie without comparing it. You can say this is a great movie for what it is. This is a fun horror comedy. If you don't take it too seriously, you're going to have a great time. Is it a objectively good movie? No, it's fine. It's not going to win awards. It's not going to make you remember it. It's not going to leave an emotional impact. It's not even going to really leave great memories. There's some comedies out there that can really do that. Like for me, like the fucking Ace Ventura franchise. Fantastic. Does it compare, or can I say it has a 100% rating in terms of overall movies? No. To me, sure, absolutely. But if I were to leave a review and grade it on, say, Rotten Tomatoes, I wouldn't give it a 95. I wouldn't give it 100, even though I fucking love the shit out of it.
So I think, let me just interject here. I think I see where you're going with this. I think you're somewhat misinterpreting what that score is. That score isn't, all these critics said that this is this movie on a scale of 1 to 100 is 95%. It's saying 95% of the critics that reviewed it rated it favorably.
Yes.
You know, they said, hey, this is better than it is. This is more good than it is bad. And that can be anywhere from like, you know, like if you're on a 1 to 10 scale, like if you're 7 or above, even 6 or above, like positive. You could be considered positive.
Mm-hmm.
So it just means that like the bulk of the critics that went to see this said like, yeah, like this movie for what it is, like does its job. It's a good film. And like, so you have to look at it that way. That doesn't mean that like, oh my God, this film, like if you just objectively rated it on a scale of 1 to 100, you would say it was a 95.
So then we're saying the IMDb rating score is a much more accurate scoring thing.
Well, we're saying if
we're gonna look that up.
If it has people,
okay. So 6.4 on IMDb, which is exactly where in the frame I put it in.
Yeah. So if people on IMDb were, because they're like, listen, there's a lot of people. Let me clarify, because I'm gonna get in trouble for this. There's a lot of people on IMDb who perfectly smart and capable and have great opinions. But IMDb is kind of famous for being flooded with a lot of garbage reviews, either on one side or the other, either like a bunch of like 1-star reviews that aren't aren't necessary because they're like, it would be like a 1-star review, and this is an example of an IMDb review. Would be like, this is no Godfather. Fuck this movie. You know, it's like just what you said. It's like they're not really reviewing it in any sort of fair way. Or you have a bunch
but I
of
mean,
people
those
that
are also
reviewing it.
outliers, right? I mean, you can do the same thing on Rotten Tomatoes as an audience score.
Yeah, on sort of, on the audience you can, but the outliers, I guess I'm saying on IMDb, are so many. There's so much garbage in there that I don't trust anything that's there. But yes, the rating scale, I guess.
Well, hold on here. I scroll down to IMDb, and there's a featured review. Surprisingly good and better than I anticipated. So in your opinion, that's a legitimate review because they're not shitting on it.
No.
Even though they only rated it 7 out of 10, which is a fair rating for this movie.
Let me finish.
Okay.
A 7 out of 10 is maybe how I would rate it too, just so I can clarify.
Okay.
I don't think this is a 10 by any means. I think it's a fun movie that I really enjoyed and thought it did what it was supposed to do and, you know, sort of surprised me in a lot of ways, okay? But I don't think it's a perfect, flawless film. And I'm not also saying that if you have to agree with me to have a good review or you have to say it's good if I think the movie's good. I'm saying the review has to be based on something of merit. Like you have to have made a judgment that makes sense and that you can kind of back up and defend in some way. What I see a lot of times on IMDb is reviews that are like, let me try to think of an example. I hate robot movies, therefore this movie sucks. That's obviously a terrible
but I
example,
still feel like those are the outliers. But that you're gonna get that with everything. I mean, yes, I have not gone and read every single review on IMDb. I'm not you. I don't spend my time that way. But I also don't think that those account for all of the reviews. Or even the majority. I don't think they even account for 15% of the reviews left on any given thing.
Well, I mean, I guess let's not go down a rabbit hole on this. Let's sort of agree to disagree. I mean, this is a pretty widely held perception that IMDb is not a great review system.
By critics? Like because it's open to the public and anybody's allowed to leave a review on it, and heavens forbid that any
Look, I disagree with plenty of critics too, and there's plenty of critics that I'm like, why are you a critic? Like, what are you doing? Okay, they're not all like, they're not the holy grail by any means. The thing that I like about critics, which I know that's almost a dirty word, but the thing that I like is that at least, generally speaking, they have some foundation for what they're saying and why. I might not agree with it, and I might think it's a flawed reasoning, but there's some articulation that they need to give as far as like, okay, why am I rating it this way? Why do I think the way that I do? What criteria am I using to evaluate it?
But that's just like a snobby way of saying I have more words to say that I don't like this movie or I like this movie with. If somebody says I don't like robot movies and this is a robot movie and I saw it and I didn't like it and it has robots and I give it a 1, that's just as valid as being like, well, intellectually speaking, the artificial intelligence of this movie does not quite grasp the fact that artificial intelligence is a good thing in our lives, but we do have to be wary and very, very scared that this could be a reality one day. Therefore, this movie is a 2. It doesn't give it any more substance.
Are wildly misrepresenting what I say. And first of all, okay, so people in IMDb do not have to review it at all to give it a score. Anybody can go in and give it a 1 for who knows why.
Sure, because they don't want to sit down.
That's problem number 1.
Write down
but
the meaning behind. They don't care.
The problem with saying, and I've said this a million times before, but you always take my words out of context and make me repeat it. The problem with saying I don't like robot movies, therefore this sucks, is that like, okay, you already go in with a bias to not like it. You're already saying
have bias too.
Yes,
there's a reason why like horror movies never get nominated at the Oscars because there's a bias against them.
No,
to critics and people within the industry. So it's not just the general schlub who has a bias going into movies.
I know all of that. I'm just saying. And again, I said, like, look, there's a lot of critics I disagree with. There's a lot of critics that I'm like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be reviewing movies. And there's a lot of like bullshit out there, just like everything, right? But my point is that this is why I always say, like, judge a movie on the merits of the movie and what the movie is trying to be. a movie can be good and not for you. Those are mutually exclusive things. Sometimes, luckily, they like.
So then
there's
all
like a
reviews
union.
should be moot.
Well, I'm saying
I mean,
it's just like this is why we have a problem with horror. It's like, okay, we have critics out there who are like, oh, I hate horror films, like they're garbage, but I'm gonna review them. It's like, no, don't fucking review these movies because you can't see the merit of them because you think the genre is garbage to begin with, which has nothing to do with how good the movie is as a horror film. It just has to do with your bias of not liking horror. Now, if you can get past, everybody has bias. I have bias. If you can get past your bias enough to have an honest, intellectual, thoughtful examination of a film, great. And you can acknowledge your bias. You can say, listen, this isn't for me, but if you like this kind of film, you might enjoy this. Like, you could do that. You could state your bias. You can be upfront with it. You can say that it's not for you. But that's not a review of the film. That is just if you say, I don't like robot movies, that's just you stating your opinion. It has absolutely nothing to do with how good of a robot movie this is. If you liked robot movies, would this be good? You don't know, because that's not how you're looking at the film. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that sort of like mentality.
I get what you're saying, but you make it sound like everybody who can leave a review on a public forum will do that.
I did not say that. A million times I've said that's not true.
Like, that's what you're saying.
Oh my God. I'm saying there's no... why are we having this argument? I'm tired of this argument. It's stupid. We've had it every single time.
I know.
It doesn't matter.
I can kind of disprove that with...
You can't disprove it.
The Last of Us. Have you watched any of The Last of Us?
I've watched 2 episodes of The Last of Us.
Okay. Have you heard about the last episode that aired last week?
I've heard a lot of buzz, and I'm trying to stay away as much as possible so I don't get spoilers. But yes,
okay.
I have.
So
heard
I can
people
say
buzzing
that
about
it was review bombed on IMDb for reasons of content within the episode, right?
I
Review
could probably
bomb,
guess.
like hate bombed. It still has a 7.7 rating, that episode. So it couldn't have been the majority of people, and it couldn't have been even more than 20%, because the other 2 episodes, I believe, have about 9 out of 10 ratings on them. Yeah, so the first episode is a 9.2. Second episode, I can't see it, but you get the point, right? 9.2, 9.2, 7.9, 7.7 are the ratings. So that review bomb cost it 0.2 points of a rating.
Well, that's just
from
a
the
numbers
episode
game.
previous.
It just depends on the volume of reviews. The same thing on IMDb. Like, I reviewed...
Well, that's actually... hold on. That's strange. Unless IMDb started taking down some of these reviews, because
They may have.
Episode 1 has 75,000 reviews or ratings. Episode 2 is 68,000. Episode 3 has... Oh, what? How's that possible? Wait, what fucking day is it today? How does the episode that hasn't aired yet have a rating?
I don't know. Critic pre-release? I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so I got a little confused there. So 7.9 is the review bombed one. That's with 157,000 reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So it dropped 2 points from 9.2 to 7.9. Not even
Right.
2 points. 1 point, really.
Yeah. So if you have enough volume, then, I mean...
But that's...
Look,
Like,
most
if that's
IMDb,
what a review bomb does, then it can't be that prevalent.
How many reviews does the alpha test have?
On here?
Yeah, on IMDb.
It has 611, which is way more than I thought.
It is way more than I thought, too.
164 of them, 26% are 1 star. 33 are 10. So I feel like the people who put it 10 are trolling. So it can work both ways.
I did. That's what I said. It works on both extremes on IMDb. There's a lot of people,
But then I'm sure it takes
filmmakers get all their friends and they say, go review this film, go add a star.
Right.
And that, I mean, listen.
But that's why there's means and medians, right? And the median of this movie is a 3.
Yeah.
Which is fair, I would imagine.
Anyway, This is.
So I'm just saying it's not as invaluable as you think
devolve
it is.
into this like?
Because you have this like bias towards like the average person.
We're supposed to have fun.
No, we're not.
I don't have a bias towards the average person. I hate when you put words in my mouth.
You've even said, I'm sure I can find the clip somewhere where you go, oh, the average person's a fucking dumbass and they shouldn't be allowed to leave reviews.
That's me being hyperbolic and leaning into your perception of me. I don't actually think the average person is a fucking idiot. I mean, listen, I'm not like, I'm an average person. I just happen to review films. I don't consider myself some like highfalutin. Like, I'm not paid by the New York Times to write reviews and shit, you know? Like, I'm just somebody who loves movies. But I also, because I love them, I take the time to treat them with respect and talk about them in a way that is respectful of the film, whether I like it or not. And I just feel like most people, my cringe, my, like, trigger is when people are like, it fucking sucked, it's garbage, you know? And I'm like, okay. Like,
but that's an opinion people are allowed to have.
Sure, they're allowed to have.
Same as, like, some people love sushi and some people hate it.
Yeah, but again, if I don't like sushi, I'm gonna say, "Hey, sushi's not for me." I'm not gonna say, "Oh, sushi's fucking garbage."
No, I fucking say that all the time.
No, it's not. You don't like it. Doesn't mean it's objectively garbage.
Actually, that whole thing where it's like, I don't like robot movies, so therefore this movie sucks because it has a robot. I'm very much like that with seafood. It's like, it's fish, therefore it is fucking atrocious.
I love seafood.
Oh God, fuck. We can't be friends.
Seafood's well, we're not friends. Are we friends? Come on, you hate me.
Well,
we've established this.
Yeah. Well.
I think, Casey, I know you don't like to edit this show, but I think you need to edit like 30 minutes out of this podcast because we've just got off the fucking rails. And we're not even talking about Megan. I don't even know. What are we talking about?
We do that all the time because there's not much to talk about.
There is. There's so much to talk about. We're not going to now because we spent
what else did you need to talk about? You said you liked it. And neither of us really remember it all that well because we both watched it ages ago. And from what I remember, is that
people are messaging me and they'd be like, "Is Casey being an asshole?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah. The movie was fine. It wasn't anything special. Like, there's a reason I don't remember chunks of it or how I felt during most portions of it because it didn't elicit really any emotional response in me. Is that satisfactory to you?
I mean, no, but like, I'll take it, I guess. I mean, you can't win them all, you know. I'm used to not getting what I want or my way, so I'll resign to that.
You'll resign? Finally.
Really
Jesus
lackluster. Oh my God.
What did you like so much about it? What did you like so much about it? Why did I miss
this?
I don't know.
I don't know. Glutton for punishment.
What did you like so much about Megan? Tell me.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna give you like a review here because I'm tired now. My brain and my heart hurts, and I'm just like, ugh.
Good. Mission accomplished.
I think it's wildly fun. I don't think it's like forgettable. Meh. I think it's pretty freaking entertaining, and I love like it's super like high camp, but not in a way that's like groan inducing, like so bad it's good bullshit. Like, it's good. It's a good movie, and it's well executed, and it's entertaining, and it's got like, you know, the good horror aspect and everything that you want, but it is like, it leans into its camp, which is why one of the things I think is super fun about this movie is that it's just been completely embraced by the gay community, even though there's no, like, it's not a gay film, but because it's campy. Because it's so campy.
Is it that campy though?
Yes, and because they're like, Megan is a slay queen, and they just like love her, and how she's just like, she's so sassy, and her little fucking dance, and which is just kind of the greatest thing ever, and her little responses, and just super, she's just super fierce, and they love that, and I love that, and I think it's, I don't know, I had an incredible time with this. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted.
I mean, embraced by the gay community. Yes.
It's like Child's Play at its best, when Child's Play like leaned into, because I mean Child's Play, I love that franchise, but later in the franchise it really leans into its camp and just gets kind of like off the rails insane. Not that it ever was really like on the rails, and it's just super fun. It's super self-aware, and it's like witty and hilarious, but also like gory, and I don't know. I think it's a new it's like a modern classic. That's not the right word. It's
no, it is not a modern classic.
But it's like definitely, I think, going to be in the pantheon of films that we remember and talk about in the modern era. I would not be surprised if this. I would expect a sequel from this. I would expect more from this, if not a franchise. Like I feel like
I don't know about a franchise.
I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like it's a little too expensive for a horror movie to be franchised nowadays. Like I think a lot of horror movies for franchises need to be like, you spent $3 on it and made $40 billion. Now we got a franchise. I think this kind of hits a little bit too high on the production value to like spawn any meaningful franchise movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think it made a shit ton, but I don't know against the budget or any of that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, we can find out, obviously.
I don't care. I don't care enough to. You're going to anyway. I hate this every time I ask. Like, I just make it a little musing. You're like, well, I'm gonna do research live on the show. Yeah,
that's how this works. It made $82.2 million.
So far.
True, so far. But now that it's on streaming, that's going to drop rapidly.
No, well, it's on streaming for like, it's not free streaming.
No,
like
but I mean,
$20, right?
now that it's on streaming, it can be free, if you know what I mean.
Oh, God. Don't get me started.
Actually, you know what? This is maybe a discussion we need not have, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. I have a friend who's 21 or 22 years old. He has no idea that pirating movies is a thing. Like, I don't know if that's like a Gen Z thing in general.
You think Gen Z doesn't pirate movies?
Why do I have this memory? What was it from? Oh, because Netflix is doing like the sharing password is no longer like allowed sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I saw an article. Yeah, well, so the thing I saw was like, oh, Pirate Bay is about to get a whole new demographic.
Yeah,
implying that they didn't know about it prior to, because they grew up with streaming, right? Everything was available to them right at the get-go. Like when we were kids, if you wanted to find a movie that you couldn't find, torrenting and pirating a movie was the only option for some things.
Here's the thing, and I could be wrong. I'm not Gen Z, sadly.
Well, you know what? Not that sadly, to be honest.
Well, sadly in that I'm far too old to be Gen Z, that's the sad part. But I don't think, here's what I think, and maybe Gen Zs can tell me, and this is going to sound derogatory, and I don't really mean it to. I don't even think I don't even know that's in their lexicon, like pirating, because I think they just think everything should be free. So I think they just watch movies for free, and they're just like, oh, this is free, not even thinking that it's pirated or stolen or any of that stuff. They're just like,
where would they get it though without like searching for pirating? Yeah,
you
just
search
look
for the movie.
for it.
Well, you look like you'll say, like, I'll say watch Megan online, and then all these sites will come up that'll let me watch Megan for free.
Really?
I don't have to go to Pirate Bay. Like, I don't have to go to a site that is dedicated.
Yeah, but those sites are sketchy, man. Like you're getting some real funkin' shit from touching that.
Well, they all have like, there's really good like virus software and pop-up protectors and all kinds of shit now. Like I said, I just think it's so ingrained in the culture now that it just doesn't even feel like it. You're just like, oh yeah, everything's free. I'm like, well, it's really not. I mean, sure, you can find everything for free, but it is still problematic. It's still theft. It's still, hurting the industry, which is a whole other discussion we're not going to have. But yeah, I do think it's just such a common thing that it's not even they don't does Pirate Bay even exist? I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
Oh yes, it still exists.
But I know.
I mean, I don't know
there's
why.
plenty of
I have
sites
never
that-
checked
yeah.
it, but it is definitely still there.
Like, I don't know that people do like torrents and downloads and shit. They just watch it online, but it's just a stolen copy of it.
Well, it depends on how you want to watch it, right?
Like,
If you want to torrent it and then stream it to your TV, as opposed to watching it on what I assume most Gen
just
Z people have
AirPlay
as a
it.
laptop. If you have Apple shit, but who the fuck has Apple shit?
Everyone.
Nobody.
You're talking about Gen Z. They all have Apple shit.
Oh my god, they're the worst generation.
I actually am quite fond of Gen Z, so I'm not one of those like I'm not gonna boomer them and hate on them. I actually think they're kind of great.
Well, good for you.
But you can boomer them because you know you are a boomer, so
Yeah,
it's
well,
fine.
you are what you kill. I mean,
What? What does that even mean, Casey?
I don't know. I'm tired and hungry. I think
yeah.
this episode is coming to an end. It's a good one to come back to, I guess, if you like to torture yourself.
If you like, yeah, go leave us an IMDb review.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I mean, if you like shitty podcasts, this is, I guess,
This is
an
the
okay
one
shitty
for you.
podcast.
Oh my god, yes. We've
you
had
know
some
what?
good laughs along the way.
Can I end it and say this?
Yes.
And this is real. This is my truth. This is my heart truth, okay?
Okay.
As much abuse as I took and as painful as that was, and as much as I'm reminded of how much you like hate me with the passion of a thousand suns,
Mm-hmm.
I still had a good time. I'm so glad we're back. This is fun, and I look forward to the next one. So I think, I don't know, I'm probably a glutton for punishment, but there is my truth.
Well, I mean, I agree with everything you said there. It was a lot of fun making fun of you and telling you how bad you are and how your
Isn't it
opinions
always?
don't
It's
matter.
like your
and-
highlight of your week.
Well, it hasn't been for a long time, though. That's the thing.
I know, and like I'm worried because I feel like, so probably every time you like get mad at your wife or anything goes wrong, you like kind of save it up for me because like you don't want to be mean to her because you like care about her, you know, and you don't want to be an asshole. But like every time she pisses you off or anybody, you're just like, I'm just gonna save it, and then when I talk to Stephanie, I'm just gonna unleash. And I feel like that was an outlet. So I worry about us not talking more regularly because are you taking down the people that you actually love? That's horrible.
No, this is actually pretty mellow. I'm not holding any resentment towards anybody right now. I'm very, very
You don't have
zen,
any
very
pent up
chill.
hostility?
No, this is just
Okay.
natural state. Kind of like the Hulk, right? Like, what's your secret? I'm always angry. That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can
No,
release
that was
it
a
in.
really good impression too. You really
I know,
nailed that
right?
one.
Like, what does a Hulk even sound like? Does he even speak?
Not that.
My version of the Hulk does.
Yeah. Well, that's all that matters, Casey. As long as you're happy with it and it made you feel good, then I think who cares what anybody else thinks, right?
Exactly. Because they're all plebs who don't count. The word Stephanie lives by.
Yeah, yes. That's a sad little mantra that you've attached to me.
Yes. And if you have any sad little mantras, you can absolutely leave them on a review for us. 1 stars are perfectly acceptable. But
Nope.
5 stars will get read out on the show. So pick your poison. You can also leave a rating on the mobile app for Spotify. If you do that, let us know. We can tell all the wonderful people out there how wonderful you are for leaving a 5-star rating to us.
The Spotify thing is I hated on it from IMDb, but it's actually kind of great here. You don't have to do jack shit, but star it. You don't have to write anything.
Well, you do have to listen to at least 30 seconds, or at least play 30 seconds of it. You can mute it and just let it play for 30 seconds, and then stop it, and then review it, or leave a rating, rather.
Yeah, if you don't already listen on Spotify, then and you listen on some other platform, then yeah, you will have to like listen to a tiny bit of an episode on Spotify. But then it's just like it's half a second. You click that 5 stars and you're totally done. So it's because I mean, you know, we're all lazy and busy and there's not enough hours in the day and everything is a chore. So this is like super easy. It would help out the show a lot. So
yes,
if you like us at all, that would be super, super, super nice.
It would be super, super, super nice.
Super nice. And if you hate us, then go to IMDb and say something because we don't need any hate on Spotify or iTunes or any of that. We need only love there.
Yes. And currently we have 13 reviews, or ratings, rather.
Hey, grateful for everyone, so thank you.
And they're all 5-star.
Right, see? Our little, what's the word? Like, mind manipulation, where we're always like, please go leave us a review, but only if you love us and only if you want to say nice things. Thank you.
Let's face it, nobody's gotten 74 minutes into this episode.
I told you to edit it. It's your own damn fault. So
I will see what I can do. I don't know how it's going to sound like. It's going to be like, you know what, review. So Megan is an okay movie. It's going to be a very strange transition.
All right, we'll just leave it, and people, they'll.
People
love
the
used
banter,
to it by now.
the rambling banter. I don't know. I don't know.
They can leave us a review and let us know, right?
It's true. Unless they tell us we suck, we won't know. Yeah.
Yeah, don't. Already. If you want to tell us I suck, you can send us an email or message us on social media or do something. Like there's ways to get your hate across. You don't have to.
It's true. It's the internet. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
We're findable.
We're findable. Yes.
All right.
Well, until next time.
Good times. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.